Hi, welcome to my video on simplifying a complex rational expression part 2. And this part 2 is where I'm going to use the multiplication multiplying by the LCD method. The previous video we did it by the fundamental, and you can never go wrong by knowing the fundamental method, and which was simplify the top to one fraction, the bottom to one fraction, and then multiply by the reciprocal. But the LCD method is a little bit quicker. And let me explain. Simplify complex fraction expressions by multiplying by the LCD. Let's look at the steps. The steps are find the LCD of all the fractions. So of all the fractions we have in a complex fraction, we find the LCD of all of them. We multiply each fraction by the LCD. That means the denominators are going to cancel. Then we simplify the numerator and denominator, and then we simplify the fraction. Let me explain going through that method. But before we do, let me use this as an example of what we're doing. Let's take the fraction 9 over 10. If we take 9 over 10 and multiply the 9 by 2, and we multiply the 10 by 2, what we're doing is making an equivalent fraction called 18 over 20. Because if we multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, we're getting an equivalent fraction. But what about if we just take the 9 and make it 7 plus 2, which is still true, and we make the 10 a 6 plus 4. So that's still 9, that's still 10, that's still 18 over 20. So it's still true. Okay, but if we take the 2 and distribute it through here, we get 2 times 7 plus 2 times 2. So the 2 outside is being distributed through the 7 and the 2. I didn't multiply to get 14 and 4. I just wrote it down. 2 times 7, 2 times 2. If you take your denominator and multiply by 2, you get 2 times 6, and you get 2 times 4. Again, I didn't multiply to get 12 and 8. But in the end, I'm trying to show you that you can multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. And that number then is distributed throughout when you express 9 and 10 as a plus sign. So it's being distributed. So notice the 2 is being distributed through both the 7 and the 2, and the 2 is being distributed through the 6 and the 4. This is what I'm going to show you now when we simplify complex fractions, in that we're going to find the LCD and we're going to multiply each fraction by the LCD. So this is what I'm showing you here will be equivalent to what's down here. So let's do some examples. Simplify each, and we're going to do it by, we're going to find the LCD of these two fractions is 5. So that means we're going to multiply the top by 5, the numerator, and the denominator by 5. So the LCD for these two fractions is 5. So multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 5. Now because we've done that, we kept it balanced by 5 over 5. So we can cancel the 5's, 1 and 1, and that will give us 1 times 1 is 4. Cancel the 5's, we get 1 and 1, and we get a 7. So notice, when we multiply the numerators and denominators by the LCD, all the denominators should cancel. Very similar to when we solve equations. We found the LCD and we multiplied every fraction by the LCD. So what happened? All the denominators cancel. So just to go back, just for a second, let's take this and go with the fundamental. So the fundamental method would be the numerator divided by the denominator. And that would be 4/5 times 5 over 7. So what happens? The 5's cancel and you get 4 over 7. But this is the fundamental way. When your numerator and denominator are being divided, multiply by the reciprocal and you cancel. But if you multiply top and bottom by the same denominator, all the fractions denominators should cancel out. and it's a little bit easier. So let's do this one. The denominator, the LCD for the top is x. The LCD for the bottom is x. So the LCD for all fractions is x, because it's the same on top and bottom. So that means we'll multiply each fraction by x. So I'm multiplying all the fractions by x, which is the LCD. So notice I kept the balance, because that's the same as multiplying by x over x. But the x is being distributed through these two fractions. Now cancel. X cancels, and I get a 2. The x cancels, and I get a 4. The x cancels, and I get a 9. So that's 6 over 9. 3 into 6 goes 2. 3 into 9 goes 3. Easier method. Quicker method. I won't say easier, quicker, yes. So let's go with C. What is the LCD for the numerator? The LCD is 15. Least common denominator is 15. Least common denominator for the denominator is 15. So 15 is the LCD for both of these. So that means the LCD for all of them is 15. It happens to be 15 is on top and bottom, but it don't have to be. So 15 is the LCD, so you multiply every fraction by the LCD. Let me put that out there. Keep it. So LCD for all of them is 15. So 15 times each fraction. Oh, I forgot to add on. Don't forget, add on the opposite. Makes it, the subtraction is gone. So 3 into 15 goes 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. 5 into 15 goes 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. 15 into 15 goes once. So 1 times 11 is 11. 3 into 15 goes 5 plus 5. So notice when you divide the denominator into the LCD, every denominator cancels out, giving you a much easier problem. So that's 1 over 16. Much easier, this method. Multiply the numerator and denominator by the same LCD for all fractions. Every fraction is multiplied by the LCD of all the fractions. Now, let's do this one. So let's get the LCD. Notice I'm writing all, A-L-L. It's the LCD for all fractions. And the LCD for this one is 3 times x minus 1. The LCD for the bottom is 3 times x minus 1. It's the same LCD. That means I multiply this, the numerator, by 3 times x minus 1. I multiply this fraction by 3 times x minus 1. And I multiply this fraction by 3 times x minus 1. So I multiplied all the fractions. This fraction by 3 times x minus 1. This fraction by 3 times x minus 1. Let's put a bracket around it. And this fraction by 3 times x minus 1. And again, to keep the why I have both of them the same here, just to make sure you see the pattern. So here we go. Because I multiplied by the LCD, the 3 cancels, the x minus 1 cancels, so the numerator becomes, that's a 1 and a 1, so we get a 10 on the top. X minus 1 cancels, and I get 3 times x, is 3x. The 3 cancels, so I get 2 times x, 2 times negative 1, and I get 10 over 5x minus 2. So notice I canceled, and as the problem gets a little bit more awkward, then instead of multiplying this out like I did, leave it as 2 times x minus 1 and multiply it down below. Okay, let's continue. Notice the 5 and the 10 can't cancel because 5x minus 2 is a factor unless that's a full factor up here. 5x minus 2 right there, you can't cancel the 5 and the 10. because you can't cancel in subtraction. Okay, let's see. And most of these, what is the LCD for the numerator? LCD is 12 for the numerator and 12 for the denominator. Again, both of them are the same. So that means I'll multiply both on the top by 12 and the two of them on the bottom. But I got a subtraction, so I should add on the opposite. So I'm multiplying by 12. So I added on the opposite and I multiply it. The LCD for all of them is 12. So I multiply every fraction by 12. And what does that give me? 6 into 12 goes 2. So I could write down 2 times x plus 2. 2 into 12 goes 6. So that's a 6x. And 3 into 12 goes 4. So I get a 4 times x minus 1. 4 into 12 goes 3. So that's a 3 times negative x. So what does that give me? That gives me 2x plus 4, 6. That gives me 4x minus 4, negative 3x. So notice I could have multiplied here, canceled, and said 2 times x plus 2 and got 2x plus 4. I decided just to write it out like this to show you. But you didn't have to do this. You could have multiplied. You could get 2x plus 4 and 6 times x is 6x. So you could have got this step right away. But you simplify that, that's 8x plus 4. Simplify, we get x minus 4. And we get 4 comes out as 2x plus 1 and x minus 4. But even though I took the 4 out as a GCF, the 4 does not cancel. 2x plus 1 doesn't cancel. So that's your answer, or you could have that as your answer. F, what is the LCD for all the fractions? The LCD for all the fractions, right? All. LCD for all the fractions. So on the top I got an x and an x plus 1. And on the bottom I got the same denominator. So the LCD for all the fractions is x times x plus 1. So I'll multiply x times x plus 1. And I'll go x times x plus 1. And put the bracket just to separate them. And this is x times x plus 1. And this bracket, x times, x plus 1. So the only reason I put this one at the beginning and this one at the end is so I got more space. Now, I multiplied all the fractions by the LCD. That means every denominator should cancel. X plus 1 cancels. So I get 6 times x. So 6 times x, there it is. And the x cancels. So I get 3 times x plus 1. That gives me 3x plus 3. The x cancels. I get x plus 1 times 1, which is x plus 1. The x plus 1 cancels. And I get 2 times x, which is 2x. And we add, we get 9x plus 3. Add, I get a 3x plus 1. Can we factor the numerator? Yes, 3 comes out, gives me 3x plus 1. Denominator is 3x plus 1. This factor and this factor are the same, so we cancel. So this becomes 3, simplified to a 3. Now, we have to, guess what? We got a subtraction. So I go add on negative x plus 1. Add on negative 1. So when you get rid of your subtraction and add on the opposite, then your plus, your addition signs, is easier to deal with. That's the way I do it. And at the same time, I have to factor Now, so I'm factoring this denominator. So if this denominator is factored, it's, let's see, bracket, bracket, because it's a 1. X squared is x and x. Factors of 3 are 3 and 1. And again, look around. I got an x plus 3. Is this an x plus 3? X plus 3 minus 1. The product is negative 3. The sum is 2. Factors of give you negative 3 is 3 and 1. So you have to have a plus 3 and a minus 1. Multiply. Negative 3. Add. Plus 2. And again, as you can see, let's keep going. So remember, you take your time and do one step at a time. So I have the denominator factored. Now I wrote this down here. Just I added on the opposite, done, and I factored this. The reason I factored it to show you that the denominator or the LCD for all of them. So this factor is here. I got an x plus 3. This denominator is x plus 3x minus 1. So this denominator, which has the two of these, is the same. So this denominator is the LCD because x plus 3 is right there. This x plus 3 is right there. And x minus 1 is right there. So this denominator is the LCD for top and bottom. So here we go. Now we're going to write this down 4 times. X plus 3 times x minus 1. X plus 3 times x minus 1. X plus 3 times x minus 1. And I use brackets on that just to show you that we're multiplying. So it's x plus 3 times x minus 1. Just take your time. So I have the LCD for top and bottom, and I multiplied every fraction by the LCD. Now, every denominator should cancel. X plus 3 cancels, 1, 1. So that gives me x minus 1 times x minus 2. The LCD will cancel. So that gives me a add on negative x squared minus, or negative x squared plus 1. The plus is not necessary, but I got it there anyway. Cancel. X plus 3 cancels, so I get 3 times x minus 1. X minus 1 cancels, so I get a negative 1 times x plus 3. So I have to do my multiplication first. So let's expand this out by FOIL. X squared, negative 1 times negative 2 is 2. And outside is negative 2. Inside is negative 1. So that's negative 3. And this is negative x squared plus 1. And I go 3 times, I have to multiply before I add by bed mass. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Negative 1 times x plus 3 is negative x minus 3. Negative 1 is multiplied by both of them, both of those. And now we have the multiplication's gone. We now add negative x and x is cancels. So it's a negative 3x plus 3 in the numerator on the top. And we got 3x and x is 2x. And we got a negative 6. And can we factor this? I see a negative 3 coming out. I not only removed the 3, but I removed the negative. So negative 3 into negative 3x is x. Plus 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. And I see a 2 coming out, x minus 3. And so nothing cancels. So that's the final answer. Because x minus 1 is not a factor, 3 and 2 can't reduce. So that's the final answer. Okay. So that's examples. Now, you try to see if you can work out these. Do one at a time. Here we go. Pause the video and work one out at a time. Press play when you get it done. The LCD is a 7. So multiply the top by 7 and the bottom by 7. The 7's cancel. I get a 10. The 7's cancel. I get a 15. 5 into the 2 and a 3. And we common denominator for it. Top is 9, bottom is 3, so the LCD is 9. So we multiply by 9. 9 cancels, we get 6x. 3 into 9 goes 3. 24x squared. And 6 into 6 goes once. 24 divided by 6 is 4. X is cancelled, so I get 1 over 4x. LCD for top and bottom is 10. LCD for all of them, remember, all is 10. 2, 5, and 10, the LCD is 10. So I'm up by 10 by this one, 10 by this one, and 10 times this one. When you do, 2 into 10 goes 5, gives you 15. 5 into 10 goes 2, gives you 16. 10 into 10 cancels, and you get a plus 2. That gives you 15 over 18. 3 into 15 goes 5. 3 into 18 goes 6. Let's continue. The LCD. LCD for all of them. LCD for 2 and 3 and x is a 6x. 2 and 3 is 6 and with an x. LCD for the top is 3x. LCD for the bottom is 2x. LCD for all of them is 6x. So 6x times 6x, 6x. Oh, forgot to add on the opposite. So that's a negative 7. Negative 7 times 6x. Add on negative. That's a negative 7. 3 into 6 goes 2. So that gives me 10x. 6 into 6x goes 6. Gives me a 1. 3 and 2 into 6x goes 3x. It gives me 3x times 1 is 3x. X into 6x is 6. Gives me negative 42. And we can cancel here. If we can, let's see, we got a 2. 5x plus 3. And 3 times x. 3 into 14. And we can factor, but we can't cancel. None of them are the same. LCD for number 5. Let's try number 5. I got to make sure that this is factored first. So without rewriting this, let's write x times x minus 1. So the LCD for the top is x times x minus 1. The LCD for the bottom is the same. So we multiply all fractions by x times x minus 1. X times x minus 1. And x times x minus 1. Top and bottom are multiplied by the LCD. Each fraction cancel. X cancels, so you get 2 times x minus 1. The LCD cancels. The denominator cancels, so I get 3x. The denominator. X cancels, x minus 1 cancels, so I get 2 minus 5x. So we multiply first, 2x minus 2, add on 3x, all over 2 minus 5x. That gives us, you got to add, so you add your x's. And 5x. Notice I'm going to work this out up here now. So 2 minus 5x is a negative 5x plus 2. We take the negative 1 out, or negative out. 5x minus 2. So this bottom becomes a negative outside of 5x minus 2. They cancel, and that gives me 1 over negative 1, which is negative 1. Number 6. So again, you need the LCD and multiply by all fractions. So the LCD for number 6, x plus 2, x minus 2. So the LCD, we got to go, and that's x minus 2, x plus 2. But we got to add on the opposite. Add on negative x. Add on negative 1 over x plus 2. We change the negative to a positive. And so we got an x plus 2, x minus 2. 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 So bracket, 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 bracket. And so the LCD, well, the denominator should cancel. X plus 2 cancels. So I'm going to write that down. That's x times x minus 2. The LCD cancels. So I get x times x plus 2. LCD cancels. Denominator cancels. So I get an x. The denominator cancels into the LCD. Every denominator should cancel. And I get cancels. And notice I get a negative 1 times x minus 2. So when I cancel, I take what's left and write it down. And that way, again, you might not make an error so much. Now multiply. X squared minus 2x. X squared plus 2x. And FOIL on this is x squared plus 2, and plus 1 plus 2 is a plus 3. Negative x plus 2. Simplify. I get, they cancel, and I get a 2x squared. The bottom becomes plus 2. Oh, that's wrong. My mistake. Sorry. That's a plus. That was a minus. So that's x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 4. And factors of 4 can't give you 3, so that's the final answer. Cannot factor. 4 is 4 and 1 or 2 and 2. Can't give you 3, so cannot factor any further. And number 5, page 5 of 5, number 7. What is the LCD? We need the LCD for all fractions. And the LCD for all fractions, the top is an x squared, the bottom is an x squared, so is an x squared. So we multiply all parts by x squared. We multiply all parts by x squared. But don't forget, I got to add on the opposite. Be careful. Don't have a subtraction sign. So I need x squared, x squared, x squared. Perfect, x squared. So what does that give me? So 1 times x squared is x squared. X cancels into x squared x. So x times 6, 6x. X squared cancels. 1, so I get an 8. And x squared times 1 is x squared. X squared cancels, and I get a minus 4. So this factors. Let's see what the factorization is. X and x. 8 to give you 6 is 4 and 2. 2 pluses. The difference of 2 squares is x. Oh, x and x. 2 and 2 plus minus. Again, notice the difference of 2 squares. And we cancel. X plus 2 cancels. So we get an x plus 4 over x minus 2. And we have number 8. We have, well, what I see is I see a subtraction, so I'm definitely going to add on the opposite. So that makes that a plus, makes that a plus. So to make this better, let's rewrite it as x plus 2 over 2 outside of x plus 1 factored plus x This denominator is x outside of x plus 1. X comes out. This denominator is already factored, so I got a x plus 3 over 2x. Add on. This denominator I have to factor, so it's a 2x. 2x is common outside of x plus 1. And the numerator is 2x plus 5. So I have to factor all the denominators to find the LCD for all fractions. So the top, I have a 2, x plus 1, x and x plus 1. So I see a 2 and an x plus 1. The bottom has a 2x, perfect, and 2x times x plus 1, perfect. So all these fractions are multiplied by 2x times x plus 1. 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 And put a bracket here so you can see the cancellation going on. There it is. And what do we have? So we cancel. 2 cancels. X plus 1 cancels. So that's an x when you cancel it. So it's x times x plus 2. And x cancels. X plus 1 cancels. So I get x times 2. 2x. The 2x cancels. So on the bottom I get an x plus 1 times x plus 3. And the 2x cancels. X plus 1 cancels. So that's a 1. So I get a 1 times 2x plus 5. I can do that. Done. Now I have to simplify the top. I multiply before I can add. So x squared plus 2x plus 2x. I have to do the FOIL on this as x squared plus 3. And outside is 3. Inside is 1. So that's a 4. And I write down 2x plus 5. And that simplifies to x squared plus 4x. The denominator is x squared plus 6x plus 8. The numerator has an x common, so take the x out, x plus 4. The factors is an x squared, so an x squared with a 1 is x and x. Factors of 8 to give you 6 is 4 and 2. And there are 2 pluses. Product is positive, sum is positive. X plus 4 cancels, so I get an x over x plus 2. So that's simplifying complex fractions by what we call the LCD method. Multiply all fractions by LCD. And every denominator should cancel out. And then you simplify the numerator, simplify the denominator, and factor if you can. Good way to do it. I've created some good problems. Hopefully you understand what we're doing. And if you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. More videos are coming. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.